Welcome to the daily study of the Way of Mastery. Today we continue with Lesson 1, The Way That Calls You Home. And we are in Section 2 called The First Step in Awakening, Paragraph 8. And so Jeshua goes on to say, you will discover that the pathway of awakening is not a pathway of avoidance, but a pathway of truthfulness. It is not a pathway of accomplishment and pride, but a pathway of releasing from the consciousness every hope and every wish to be special, to see yourself as having made progress, so that you can pound a fist upon the chest and spread the tail feathers. It is a transcendence of the hope of somehow getting God's attention so that he will look upon you and say, "Oh, you have been such a good person. Yes, we will allow you into the kingdom now." So let's look at that. The pathway of awakening is not a pathway of avoidance. It's not denying and avoiding the things that trigger us or the uncomfortable feelings that we have. It's a pathway of truthfulness. It's a pathway of looking at those things and being truthful with ourselves. And in the truthfulness, it will reveal where we have placed blocks to love, where we are valuing the thought of separation. For example, let's say I'm avoiding having a conversation with my father, right? And so instead of just avoiding it because I don't want to deal, it doesn't feel good, it's going to be upsetting, there's going to be conflict. Instead of just avoiding it, I can sit with the feeling of the idea of this conflict, of this conversation, and be truthful with myself. And maybe what emerges is the truth is that I'm afraid. I'm avoiding this conversation because I'm afraid. I'm afraid that if I share myself, if I speak my truth, that I'll be rejected by my own father. And that thought feels so painful. Right? So when we lean into what we're avoiding and we just sit with it and we look at it and we feel whatever comes up with it and we're curious about it. And maybe we ask the question, well, what's really true here for me? What's really happening? What's the feeling I'm wanting to avoid here? It will reveal to you the truth. And when we have the truth, it'll set us free because we can make a different choice. I can choose to focus on my fear of being rejected by my father, my fear of speaking my truth, or I can choose to focus my attention on my commitment to speaking what's true for me and trusting that my heart and my truth are enough and that I am enough, regardless of how my father may receive my truth. So that's just one example. So the pathway of awakening is not avoiding, but of being truthful. It is not a pathway of accomplishment and pride, but a pathway of releasing from the consciousness every hope and every wish to be special, to see yourself as having made progress so that you can pound a fist upon the chest and spread the tail feathers. I think it's easy. Let's look at a couple different dimensions of this. It's so easy to see in the world every hope and wish to be special on a societal mass level, how we as a society worship celebrities. And we almost make people into these celebrities and idols and icons that can be worshiped. We make them bigger than ourselves. We project so much on them. Like, oh, if I'm fame means that I'm adored and loved because everybody pays attention to me. Or wealth, look at the wealthy. Oh, wealth means that I'm enough, or I have enough, or I've achieved enough to be seen as successful, and that makes me feel good inside. It makes me feel special. Right? So look at your own life, at the various things that maybe you're attached to. Accomplishments and achievements of what you think they're going to give you or how you think they're going to make you feel or be seen by others. And one area that this is absolutely applies to is spiritual growth. Because Jeshua says to see yourself as having made progress. Like he's acknowledging that in the spiritual growth process, it's just an awakening to what already is. You're not making progress to some end goal, but we can create that illusion of progress because it makes us feel good. Like, oh, I'm doing it right. I'm being better. I'm getting better. But he's saying that's all an illusion. It's all for the sake of our, like, look, God, look at me. I'm doing the right things. To get God's attention, to be like, hey, look at me. I'm special. I'm worthy. I'm enough. Look what all these things I did. Be nice to me now. Let me into the country club of heaven. And that's this old paradigm, this old programming, this old bunch of bullcrap that we've been taught that you got to be like, it's like Santa Claus. You got to behave and then you get the presents. If you're naughty, you get coal. If you behave, you go to heaven. If you're naughty, you go to hell. Like all that nonsense. We're evolving out of that. We're waking up well past those lies that we've been taught. So a pretty powerful section here by Jeshua, and looking forward to diving in deep again tomorrow.